There are moments in a marriage you miss until weeks later that don't seem important.
You almost miss them. If someone had walked into our kitchen that Tuesday morning, they probably wouldn't have remembered anything about it. Adrian was standing by the counter with a sheet of paper in his hands. I was making coffee, oat milk latte, 1 sugar, extra hot. And yet, before breakfast was over, I realized I'd been wrong about something for years. The first thing I noticed wasn't the paper. Have you ever watched someone pretend they're calm when their entire body is filing a complaint because Adrian did that thing, that delayed little laugh, half a second late? Most people would have missed it. I didn't. Nothing dramatic. Nothing anyone would point to and say. That's where everything changed. But I've learned that life usually whispers before it ever raises its voice. Then he rubbed the back of his neck. He only does that when something's already bothering him before he says a word. The paper never moved. That caught my attention. Usually he'd wave something like that around before I even looked up. This time he held it like letting go might change what was written on it. I just waited. I don't chase the truth. I let it get tired and sit down beside me. Adrian put the paper on the counter. So I asked the simplest question I could. What happened? He smiled. I got an offer. Adrian waited like he expected my face to tell him what came next. But something about that pause bothered me. Because people who are excited don't wait to be excited. They just are. So why wasn't he?
I poured our coffee, mine first, his second. Funny what you remember when something important is about to happen.
He slid the paper toward me, then pulled it back just a few inches, not unless they're afraid of something. I still didn't know what. Finally, I looked at the offer. Better salary. Better title. The kind people screenshot and send to their parents. On paper, it looked like one of those moments everyone claps before asking what it will cost you. It was almost nothing. Except people don't pull good news away from the people they love. So why did it feel like someone had quietly turned all the air down in the room? I asked him, "Are you happy?" He answered too quickly. "Of course." Then nothing. His thumb kept rubbing the folded edge of the paper, back and forth, until the corner started curling. People don't wear paper out when they're certain. After a while, he finally said, "I think I should want it." Should, such a strange word. I looked at him. "What will it cost?" He answered with, "Longer commute, more responsibility, different team." Because those weren't the answers. Those were the facts. The truth was still standing somewhere behind them, deciding whether it was safe to come out. The room went quiet, not awkward quiet, listening quiet. Outside, a car door slammed, but something was missing. I could hear it. He couldn't, not yet. So I waited, because sometimes reassurance comes too fast and accidentally interrupts the truth. It rescues people from the very sentence they need to hear themselves say. Adrian stared at the offer like he'd forgotten I was sitting across from him. He did that little delayed laugh, the one that never means anything's funny. He whispered, "I think I'd disappear." Everything changed right there. My face shifted and one eyebrow lifted, not because of what he said, because of what he almost said next. He stopped himself. I let him. Finally, Adrian laughed again. "I don't know why this feels so heavy." I looked at the paper. "It doesn't." He frowned. I wasn't talking about the offer, not really. But he didn't know that yet. A minute passed, maybe 2. He looked toward the coffee station he built for me 3 years ago. His keys were sitting in the wrong bowl, again. Little things. Ordinary things. Sometimes ordinary things tell the truth first. Then he said something I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. "You know when I'm stressed before I do. I keep thinking you'll be disappointed if I stop climbing." I took one sip of coffee. He folded the paper once, then unfolded it. The crease stayed. That crease became the whole story. Because that's what pressure does, doesn't it? Even when you open yourself back up, something remembers where you bent. There it was. Not ambition, not a career. Expectation. Adrian whispered, "I don't want to keep proving I'm useful." Only it wasn't mine. He'd been carrying his own reflection for so long, he'd started calling it my opinion. I smiled. "I married you before promotions." His shoulders lowered just enough to notice. "I know. Not because I'd solved anything. Because he'd finally heard himself." I reached over and rested one finger on the edge of the paper. I didn't take it wasn't mine to take. This was never the weight. He looked up. Neither of us spoke, we didn't need to. Sometimes the quiet says, "Oh, that's what this has really been about. This is why our marriage is hard to explain." I don't lead by grabbing the wheel. I just notice when Adrian is driving toward a cliff because he thinks the road sign says success. I don't shame him. I just turned on the interior light and let him see his own hands. A few minutes passed. The dog sighed from the living room like he was emotionally invested. Adrian finally said, "I want to stay where I am." That evening, I found the offer in the recycling bin. Folded neatly, one crease down the middle. No drama, just finished. His keys were beside it, in the right bowl. Most people would have noticed the paper. I noticed the keys. Because paper only tells you what someone decided. The keys told me something else. Something had settled inside him, and that reminded me of the thing I'd realized before breakfast. The morning had never been about a job offer. It was about the invisible weight people carry when they think love has to be earned. I wonder, because their silences tell the truth before they do. How many of us are carrying that same piece of paper? It just has a different title. Charlotte and Adrian aren't finished yet. Next week, one casual dinner invitation will quietly expose a fear neither of us knew we were still protecting.